Hi, it's John and welcome to the channel. Great to have you along today. And it is Friday, April the 4th, 4:18 a.m. I have my big blue mug of coffee. Hope you're having a great Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. I'm looking forward to it in Calgary this weekend. I think we're supposed to see mid-teen, maybe a little higher temperatures here. We've had some snow the last couple of days. It's mostly melted away, but finally getting out of the winter type weather. I hate winter. I just do. Why do I live in Canada? I should live somewhere warm. I just don't like winter at all. I've tried to enjoy it, don't like it. So today, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do yesterday. I'm going to look at the comments from the video I did. Here's the card on the screen. Canada's best before date is here. I think it's time to leave. The actual video itself on my channel says I think it's time to leave. It was a nice run, Canada. And boy, a lot of people have commented on this, and I'm getting close to 30,000 views on this video. So thanks so much for watching. By the way, if you haven't subscribed, I've got 23,700 plus subscribers. I'd love to get to 25,000. Click right there. And maybe we'll get there over the next couple of days. So I have not looked at any of the comments on this. And I look at some comments, not all of them. You'll see why in just a moment. I can't look at all these because there's a lot of comments on this one. I have a love-hate thing with comments. I really do. I try to avoid negativity. I decided to do that years ago. I don't suffer fools. As I've gotten older, I don't suffer fools, and I just try to avoid it as much as possible. But I get a lot of love on this channel, I do have to say. So let's go over here to the video. There's my puss on the screen there. And you'll see 23,700 subscribers, 29,155 views. Thank you very much for that. And let's go down to the comments. 1,471 comments. Incredible. So Nick here, the plumber, says corrupt politicians need to be held accountable. Yeah, you know, I find it interesting. Tamara Leach, Chris Barber yesterday, they were convicted in court for mischief, basically. We still have people who are MPs in our House of Commons that may be mixed up with the Chinese communists, yet we don't know who they are. We may have seen one the other day with this issue with Mark Carney and whatnot, but yeah, I agree with that 100%. Thanks, Singh, who wanted his pension instead of an early election. Stay strong, Canadians. Yeah, imagine if we had an election just after the new year when Poilievre and they were all was calling for an election. He would have won a massive majority, but for Jagmeet Singh, who has doomed his party. The Liberals outflanked the NDP on the left. And here's where we are right now. In fact, up until a couple of weeks ago, my video, Jagmeet Singh is the biggest piece of blank in Canadian political history, was my #1 video with over 100,000 views. I'm 74, lived in Ontario my whole life, and feel exactly like you, John. If PP does not win, Canada will end. You know, it's interesting. I was just looking at a couple articles. I think I still have them up here. This was the story I mentioned yesterday in my second video. Mark Carney poses a threat to national unity, Preston Manning. And I noticed this morning, Pierre Poilievre has weighed in on this. Poilievre disagrees with ex-reform boss that voting Liberal will lead to Western secession. Now, he has to say this. Tory leader says his objective is to unite the country around his message, supporting economic growth and resource development. So thanks for the comment on that. Peter Banton 9155. Michelle Gay, a vote for the Liberals is a vote for Alberta separation, last chance to save Canada. I can't say 100% what's going on here, but I was contacted by somebody yesterday who wants me to make a speech at an Alberta separation get-together, which I'm honored and I think I'm going to do. I'll let you know when that happens because you should be there if you are an Alberta separatist. After 40 years in Montreal, grew up in Calgary, I'm pretty tired of Quebec accepting equalization payments from Alberta while saying no to pipelines from the West, and sick of the Liberals doing their best to destroy our resource industry. That is S. Jambler. Yeah, I agree 100%. I was at the Unity rally in Montreal in 1995, just before the referendum, and you may remember that if you're a little bit older. I was there. I was working at a radio station in Eastern Ontario at the time, and I had a cell phone. And they had cell phones in 1995. It was a bag. Remember those bags? And looked like a regular phone, and it got very poor reception in Montreal. And I was under, there's a big flag, big Canadian flag in the middle of the street. I was under that for a time to keep Quebec in Canada, and it was razor thin. They decided to stay, and folks, I would not do that today. I wish I'd never gone there now. Quebec would have been gone long ago if I hadn't shown up in Montreal that day. But I agree with you 100%. The Bloc Québécois, Parti Québécois said no pipelines, although people in Quebec say they're fine with the pipelines. But Mark Carney's not fine with pipelines, so we're going to be in the same position after April 28th. The No New Pipelines Act will remain in place. That means Alberta will have our oil stranded unless we can get it down straight through the United States. And it's interesting, I heard Danielle Smith talking to somebody, PragerU, and they were asking her about the Keystone XL. And they said, we've got to get on this right now, because if things don't go well with these tariffs in the United States and you start to see the economy take a little bit of a tank over there, the midterms are coming up. And if they don't get the Keystone XL passed real soon, it may never happen if Trump doesn't win in the midterms. Okay, where are we next here? Laura K. Deere, another Liberal government will ensure separation. Captain Cook, 2215, let's reverse the fear. Carney is our biggest liar and traitor. He's being caught in a lot of lies. Candace Malcolm from Juno News, really good commentary the other day. Says generally when somebody runs for the leadership of a party, they've been an MP, they've been in the House of Commons for years. They're vetted a number of times before they actually get the job. Carney has not been vetted. We're learning everything about him during this campaign, and it's not fair. He hasn't released all of his business dealings, which I think he needs to do. A majority of Canadians in a recent poll said, yeah, he needs to let us know what the hell is going on. He's really tied in close with the communist Chinese. Moose on the Loose, watch his video from yesterday. He did a magnificent job of showing all the times Mark Carney has been standing right next to Chairman Z from China. Dead House P2R, Canada died when the RCMP attacked the truckers. That was the moment I realized my country was lost and my government was my enemy. Alberta needs to separate, form a republic with a constitution that would make the American blush, then fold the other provinces in under the new system. Except Ontario and Quebec, they can keep the debt and the tyranny they created. Sherry Radway, I'm from Ontario, and Danielle Smith is a Canadian hero. Let's bring it home and vote Conservative. I'm going to put something up on the screen that I think this is real. It was in Inglewood here in Calgary, and this was a poster that was on a pole in Inglewood. Danielle Smith is a traitor, and I think this is real. But there's a lot of people saying that, and I think it's disgraceful. They're calling her seditious as well, which is calling for an uprising against government or whatever, or against authority. Carney is the threat to our democracy. That's why everybody needs to get out and vote and make the election too big to rig. Bring it home, Pierre. That's Bill's Child 5802. Anything with Libs in charge, Alberta is gone. John D. Gibson, 8812. Hi, John. I'm another Ontarian completely disgusted with the way Alberta has been taken for granted. A decade of destructive Liberal governments has brought this country to the brink. Another 4 years under Carney will undoubtedly finish the job. It is regrettable that the formation of a Triple E Senate was rejected back in 1980s, as it could have moderated the situation. I worry that a successful Wexit could domino into a further breakup of the country, but I also see a potential for restructuring Canada, perhaps based on a constitutional republic. I'm going to end there because it's going on. Yeah, a Triple E Senate, they've been talking about reforming the Senate for years. Never happened. Trudeau has just packed the Senate. Where I come from back in Ontario, there's a woman there who is in the Senate now, and what was it that she did not too long ago? She held up something in the government that the Conservatives had proposed that made complete sense, and it never got passed because of her, because she is a dyed-in-the-wool Liberal, and they're in full control of the Senate now. Judy Salo, 4090, forget the Liberals, help is on the way. Look at Poilievre's rallies. Yeah, I hope that's the case. But you have a lot of people, I said the other day, you have a lot of people who are voting Liberal and voting for Carney, and there are a lot of boomers, and I said the other day, they're off their brain medicine, and they don't want to go to the rallies because they might break their hip. The Snowman, 166, I hear you, John. I'm born and raised in Alberta, tired of being told we are the whining, spoiled child by the East, tired of hearing the election is won before we hear who won in Saskatchewan or Alberta, because we don't matter. Tired of being looked down upon by government officials who are all selected for their climate ideology. What's that saying again? Forget the West, we'll take the rest. Thank you very much to the Snowman. Phil Goldsley, 5951. JT walks away scot-free. That will always disgust me. Papa Wayne Morris, I always say when you're number one, everybody picks on you. Alberta is lucky to have a premier that stands up for us, right? If they are complaining about you, and we're in Alberta, and Danielle Smith is certainly getting a lot of complaints, I think she's over the target, right? Debbie Helm, S7P, Danielle Smith is the best. And as I am an Albertan, polling is changing. They said that the Conservatives are upper by a little bit right now in the polls, although if there were an election today, there would still be a minority for the Liberal government. Lois Williams, 2023. I'm from New Brunswick, and I hope PP wins huge win. I'm 66 and absolutely hate what Liberals have done to our country. Mary Slapsis, 5141, I will not live under the chokehold of the WEF. Never let the rest of the country deal with them. Mr. Doug, J8U, Carney is a clear and present danger to Canada. Vote for Carney is a vote for a constitutional crisis. Hang in there, John. Alberta will have a better and well-deserved deal with Pierre Poilievre. I do believe that, but I think that separation will eventually come down the line because there's always another Liberal government around the corner. Dave Burton, 3289, I completely understand the punishment narrative. Oh, God, did I ever want to punish Trudeau? Fabian Warnke, 1377. Well, John, if Alberta doesn't want a Groundhog Day event every 4 years, Alberta needs to leave no matter what. The East doesn't take the Alberta separation seriously. They think it nothing but a bluff. Let Alberta leave Canada behind. I haven't lived here that long. I still hear people complaining about the National Energy Program under Trudeau the First. And yeah, and like I just said, if Poilievre were to get in, who knows, within 4 more years, we have a more radical government with the Liberals and we're back in the same place again. It's kind of like what happens in the United States right now. Biden goes all in for the climate change stuff, goes all full Paris Accord, doesn't want to drill any oil, all of that stuff. And as soon as Trump gets in, it all gets turned around. If Trump doesn't win, or if I guess maybe J.D. Vance doesn't win in 4 years, it could all turn around again. I mean, it's just crazy, and that's the case here in Canada as well. Alberta Patriot 3877, I've been saying Alberta needs to become its own country with its own constitution my entire life. I've watched the federal Liberals and Conservatives destroying Canada, and especially Alberta, my entire 57 years of life. I'm done. Yeah. Who's on first? 9705. The mainstream media, CTV, CBC, etc., and their sky is falling everyday reporting is getting redundant. Defund them and put that money back in the pockets of Canadian families. I'm going to do a few more here because this video is going to get too long. I worked in media for 35 years, and I'm retired. I just say that I'm retired now. And I find it disgraceful that media companies are taking money from the government. You cannot have any credibility if you're getting money from the government. You know that. I know that. They know where the only reason they're staying above board is because the government's paying them, so they're going to be friendly to the government. You know that. The strong survive, the weak are killed and eaten. And right now, media online, and there's so many of them, so many voices online, and it's amazing during this campaign. I did a video on this, as some of the young people are doing great things. Jasmine Lane, Moose on the Loose, Clyde Do Something, The Pleb, all these people, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's so many of them. Mainstream media is dying, folks, and it needs to die. Let it go. They need to change or die. Thanks. Who's on first? Jack Robinson, 8945. Alberta should have been gone when the first Trudeau was in there. Wasn't around at that point. I remember the National Energy Program. And living in Ontario, I have to say that I didn't pay much mind to it. And that's the mindset of people who live out there. They don't understand. Alberta is different. I remember moving here and people would say to me, how do you like in Alberta? I said, it's different out here. People work hard out here. Not that people don't work hard out in the rest of the country, but they're proud of being Albertan. I call myself an Albertan. I'm not a Canadian. I am an Albertan. I put on all my email. John, Bolton, Calgary, Alberta, no Canada. Unless I'm getting something mailed here, Canada doesn't exist for me anymore. Grape Lola. I'm in the U.S. from Toronto, spent most of my adult life in Quebec. Watching Canada be manipulated and cheated from abroad has been painful. The Canada I miss is no longer. Only 2 of my friends and no family talk to me anymore because I'm not a progressive. I honestly think the country has been lulled into a trance with the weapon-grade propaganda. Yeah, I feel for you. I do, Grape Lola. Thank you for the comment. Tom Hamilton, a couple more here. I think it's time for the effing politicians to leave. It's our country, not theirs. And certainly Canada does not belong to the World Economic Forum. You know, you say those kind of things, Tom. I know about the World Economic Forum. I agree with you. You know, you're called a conspiracy theorist. Doesn't that make you sick? All those conspiracies that turned out to be true, right? So many of them. Remember what happened a few years ago, right? You still roll, still standing on the dot, still wearing your mask, still 2 meters apart, still rolling up your sleeve. You know what I'm talking about? And then there's Kanane Mashik. What's new? Billions in transfer payments, and no one has our back except our Premier Smith. We're running a deficit in Alberta this year. We're shipping $20 billion off to the east. That says it all right there, folks. By the way, I want an Alberta pension plan. Looked into it. Great thing. You know, it's funny. I go around Calgary riding my bike, and there's signs up saying save my CPP, my Canadian pension plan. And no doubt it's people who've worked for government, who have a huge pension, who don't want us to have a better pension plan. I have no pension. And that's what I think when I see those signs. It's somebody with a great pension, living high in the hog, big house, $1.5 million home. No doubt doing just fine, and they're fighting, and the unions are fighting against the Alberta pension plan. And they've got an ironclad pension. I'd like to see our own police force as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Kanane Mashik. And one more here, JJNJHJ. I love your channel, and I feel the same you do. I cannot wait to celebrate when the Liberals lose. If the Liberals win, we are seriously thinking of leaving Canada. Thank you for loving the channel, JJNJHJ. I hope they lose. I really do. I don't want this country to suffer. I don't. But in the back of my head, like I said in the video yesterday, I think I might be a winner in either situation here. But I want the Liberals to be punished. Thank you very much for the comments. There are so many more. I could do this all day. I'm already running 17 minutes on this video, pretty long. I do appreciate you being here. Once again, if you could subscribe to the channel, please do that. Give me a thumbs up as well. Ring the bell for notifications, and I will see you in the next one.